Good morning. This is Cecil and Blues. Thank you for joining me for another Final Fantasy XIV video. Today we are going to be covering the producer's live letter that was held in the very early morning of April 11th, and it discussed a lot of the new details for the upcoming expansion Heavensward. And we're just going to go over that presentation, kind of summarize its main points. It was a very long presentation. It was like 2.5 hours, so I'm going to try and boil that down to hopefully less than 15 minutes. The first thing, there are 2 new videos available. The first of which is the Heavensward intro movie. If you have not completed the patch 2.55 story, do not watch the opening movie. It contains spoilers. And secondly, was something called the Fires of Truth. This is an alternate version of the opening movie from A Realm Reborn, and at the halfway point, when Louisoix teleports the heroes into the future, it stays with Louisoix and shows what happened after that point, what happens to Bahamut. That is spoilers for what happens in the final coil of Bahamut, so if you were hoping to progress through that and experience it naturally as part of the Realm Reborn story, don't watch that video either. But let's go into the presentation proper and discuss some of the stuff that they showed us. First, they discussed the main scenario. It will be called the Dragon Song War, and it will include more than 50 hours of gameplay. And this is assuming that you don't skip cutscenes, that you actually read the quest text, and, you know, become invested in that story. If you just kind of plow through everything, I'm sure it's a lot shorter. And there will be additional main story quests added in future patches, just like they were in A Realm Reborn. There were questions about if you will need to do anything particular to gain higher levels, and no, you can immediately start gaining levels, but in order to access the story, you will have to complete the patch 2.55 story arc. They went into discussing the new areas, and there will be 9 new areas, including Ishgard and the Floating Continent. Those are not like primary areas, so we're looking at like 7 new leveling zones, and that they are 50 to 100% larger than existing zones. You will be able to fly in all of these zones, but you will have to attune in some way. When you're on a flying mount, you will have unrestricted landing and takeoff. You will have full control of your X, Y, and Z axis. As I mentioned, you want to be attuned to an area, which probably involves completing the story quests, but they were not specific about that. It's usually, in MMOs, they don't want you to fly right from the get-go because it allows you to skip content, so that's probably how it works. Flight will be possible in all Heavensward areas. Flight will not be possible in 2.0 areas, but they did not rule out the option of maybe adding that in the future. Then they went on to discussing battle system updates, which includes the new jobs, and they will be starting at level 30. That was revealed for the first time in this presentation. They did confirm it will be level 30 that you start these new jobs at, and then you'll be able to take them all the way up to 60. There have been new quests added for all jobs, raising them to 60. That includes the battle jobs and the non-battle jobs. There will be new actions added to your job. You will have to complete the like job-related story in order to unlock them. You can't just gain 50 to 60. If you want to access your new abilities, you have to do your story quests for your job. They once again mentioned the new level 3 limit breaks, but since they didn't discuss how those limit breaks are different from each other, it's not really relevant at this time. They mentioned there will be new job-specific equipment, which we saw in the previous videos, the new AF2 armors, and then there will be new equipment in general, which seems pretty obvious, to be honest. And then they mentioned 2 new Allegan tombstones. So we're not just moving up one tier, right? Like, soldiery isn't going away, and poetics moving down to be unlimited. Instead, both soldiery and poetics are going away, and they will be replaced with Allegan tombstones of law, which have no limit, so that's like our existing soldiery, and Allegan tombstones of esoterics, which will have a weekly limit. And no mention as to what will happen to the the items that you can currently buy with Soldiery and Poetics. Oops, sorry about that. Just mashed my keyboard to move to the next slide, which is about the Disciples of the Hand. Level caps here will also be raised to 60. There will be new actions added for all the classes, new recipes, and Materia 5 will be available, although they didn't have a lot of details yet. They said they're still trying to iron out like how common or uncommon they're going to be, and how this will affect Materia level 4s, etc. They have added a specialist system. The specialist system allows you to become a specialist in up to 3 classes in the Disciples of the Hand, and they're not connected, right? Like, you don't have to be, if you're a baker, you don't have to also be a... I actually have no good conclusion to that sentence, so let's pretend I never started it. You can pick any 3 classes you want. They don't have to be connected in any way. You could be your favorites, or maybe if there's a specific ability that you learn, because specialists get special abilities, and those special abilities should make it easier to do high-level crafting, because high-level crafting is now incredibly challenging, so they said. And you can choose which specialist abilities you want to maybe assist you in that crafting process. You can get to level 60 with all your Disciple of the Hand classes without becoming a specialist, but you can unlock the specialist at level 55. Disciple of the Land also increasing to level 60, new actions added. They pointed out that treasure hunts will be expanded to new areas, as well as new gathering points and new fishing holes. The favor system is a level 60 system that you will be able to use to uncover hidden gathering points by using divine favors. Favors only remain active for a limited time, and you gain favors by trading in scripts. I'll discuss what those are in a future slide here. Regional folklore allows for acquisition of high-level Disciple of the Land items. Consider this to be very much like the current Disciple of the Hand books that you use. So I'm not a high-level crafter, so I don't completely understand that process, but as I understand it, crafters will understand. They are introducing a collectibles system. This is a 55+ thing, and from what it sounds like to me, based on how it was described, is they are separating crafting leaves from regular leaves into these collectibles. So hopefully you'll be able to do battlecraft leaves with your battle jobs and collectibles with your gathering and crafting jobs, so that you don't have to decide which leaves you want to do, maybe, but they were not particularly clear on how you would earn more collectibles, or if there would indeed be crafting leaves still available. By doing these collectibles quests, you will earn scripts and XP. Now there's another thought, like I'll go back to the slide here. It is perhaps I am misreading this, and collectibles are instead just like a daily, so consider them maybe like the Beastman dailies, where you can do a couple of collectibles every day, and that decides how many of these scripts you can earn. And these are what those scripts are. They will be available from level 60, apparently, even though previously they talked about the collectible system available at level 55. Whatever. Red crafter scripts, blue crafter scripts, no limit, weekly limit. And there will also be gatherer's scripts, red and blue, no limit, weekly limit. This is very similar to tomestones, and they discussed what they will be used for. In addition to unlocking buffs for you, particular for gathering, you can also use them to reset which specialist classes you've chosen, but most importantly, they will be used for purchasing gear. So currently, as a gatherer or a crafter, you have to craft your gear and shove just hundreds of thousands of gil worth of materia into them for them to be effective. As an alternative, you will now be able to buy this gear in the same way that a battle class who doesn't raid is able to buy upgraded gear for Poetics. This gear will not be able to receive materia, but it will have higher stats so that you can keep up with the Joneses. People who are doing crafting and spending of gil, those people will be ahead of the curve. They will be able to have better gear faster, but the more casual player now has an option where with time and dedication they can get what other players are able to achieve with gil. Which is not to say they bought it, okay? I'm not accusing anyone of buying gil. Working the market is a very valuable skill, and good trade crafters, that's what they do. I don't think Anrez plays Final Fantasy, but he is known as the econ PvPer, and that's what he does. He makes money in MMOs, and that's what a lot of people do. So if you make money in MMOs, you should spend that money. But if you're more of a casual player and you see crafting as a thing that you do because it's fun, then you have another option to just kind of casually collect the gear that makes you better. The next section of the presentation went on to new content. There will be new high-level leave quests, high-level fates, large-scale fates, new field enemies, and new elite marks. There will be 8 new instance dungeons. They did not discuss what level ranges these dungeons would be available. I hope that there are at least half of them. I hope half of these dungeons are max level only, because I don't want to be stuck into a position like we had in early A Realm Reborn, when there were only a couple of dungeons available to farm. I want there to be more options. The Alexander Raid and the Alexander Savage Raid will be the only raiding options at the beginning of the content here. And then there will be 2 new trials, and they gave us some artwork for those, and they're pretty snazzy. There is Ravana, both normal and hard modes, and Bismarck, normal and hard modes. That seems to imply that they will be part of the main story, and you unlock the normal mode first and then into the hard mode. They went on to discuss new frontline areas. There'll be new rule sets, new PvP rewards, and that led them into free company and housing related issues. You will be able to unlock a workshop in your free company house in the basement and use that to upgrade your house and build an airship. The house, you can customize your house to give it a more personal flair, and you will also be able to construct airships. The airships will be able to be used to explore the skies in expeditionary voyages. This is a system that will be expanded in future patches, but for right now, you will find a map, and then you will send out your airship. You can customize the stats of your airship to maybe make it better at certain types of missions. They are also adding new furnishings, which should seem pretty obvious. Improve your estates, they mention. I hope that means you can maybe make your estate larger, or able to house more relevant functions like larger gardens, etc. There will be new retainer ventures, a new expanded sightseeing log, Ishgardian markets. You'll be able to move your retainers to Ishgard if you want to sell out of there. There will be new triple triad cards, and there will be adjustments to the 2.0 content. That means that certain duty finder options will be moved around, item levels will probably be synced, and content may be easier or harder depending on where they're currently sitting. The duty finder, they're gonna you'll be able to challenge duties with smaller parties as an option. I look forward to kind of seeing how that works and what that means. If it's just for low level stuff, and maybe like I can challenge a level 50 duty with 2 level 60 people, and we still are fighting level 50 mobs, and so maybe we can just plow through it. I have no idea. There will be new roulette types and conditions, and syncing to the lowest item level. There'll be a new loot system for raids. It's, as they described, a more of a token-based system. They said that if you played in 1.0, you may be more familiar with this system. There will be a loot master system available for organized content. So this will be for guilds doing the hard versions of the raids, not through the duty finder. And you'll be able to set a loot master ahead of time, and then that person will gain the ability to hand loot specifically to different players. And they're also introducing an all greed system. I don't specifically know when this will come into effect, but as an example of when this might be relevant, I have been running the high-level roulette, the expert roulette, and during those expert roulettes, item level 100 items drop. Those items, mostly, for the most part, are just boiled down for flame seals or whatever your grand company is. And if it's an item that is for your class, you can need roll it to just get it, to melt it down. And that's not really fair if there's someone in your party who maybe plays that job as an alt who doesn't have good gear for it, who would like an item level 100 item, but didn't even have a chance to roll greed on it to get that alternate object to maybe add to an item set. And yeah, you can talk to your party members about that stuff ahead of time, and the community is pretty good in Final Fantasy, but it's not always guaranteed. And making it so that maybe in these situations where all greed is an option, that would prevent people from rolling need on an item they don't really need. Or it also prevents, in the case of objects that are maybe not relevant, crafting items, or pets, or tokens to do your vintage armor. Maybe remove the need roll option from those so you can only select greed, and that way there's no confusion. There isn't someone who says, oh, okay, let's all roll greed on this, and someone rolls need and gets it because of confusion or because of malice. Either way, there will be a new DirectX 11 client that will be available at the release of Heavensward. And the final thing they discussed was the content release schedule. 2 weeks after the launch of the game, a Heavensward official launch, which was June 23rd. 2 weeks after that, the Alexander Dungeon will open, and 2 weeks after the Alexander Dungeon opens, the Alexander Savage Mode Dungeon will open. And I say dungeon, and I mean raid. And at the time the Savage raid opens, Allegan Tombstones of Esoterics will finally be available, and the new Frontline area will be open. And that was the entire presentation. I hope that this summary you found valuable, and I hope I kept it down to a length that was tolerable. If you want more information, you can visit the Final Fantasy official Twitch page and watch the entire VOD. I will put a link down in the video description. If you want to watch the 2 new movies, they are available on their YouTube channel, so you can watch them in higher resolution. I will also include links to those in the video description. If you want access to a more detailed summary of the presentation that you can read in English, because the presentation on the Twitch page will be in all Japanese, I will include a link to that on their forums. Their community manager put up as much information as he could there, and it includes a lot of details that I didn't cover. I was very concise in this. I wanted to keep this under 15 minutes, but let's say 20, because that's where we're coming up on right now. And thank you so much for tuning in. If you found this video helpful, please hit the like button. If you have any suggestions, please throw them in the comments. If there's anything you want to know more about, ask a question in the comments. I'll do my best to answer it, or even research it if maybe you're not in a position to research it yourself. I hope you have a great day. I will be back in the near future to discuss more Final Fantasy stuff, and who knows what else. Thanks again for tuning in. I'm a little bit tired, getting a little bit loopy. Whew, I could use a nap. Yeah, I think I'm going to take a nap. Have a great day.